I think it's a thing where you should be honest with your kids. You should say to them, I have a friend, she tells her daughter, never let a guy take you to the toilet. And this is for when she's being looked after by other people. So telling your kids, don't let a guy touch you if it's a female. Even if it's a female, don't let anyone touch you. Point out the places they shouldn't be touched. Point out the way they shouldn't be touched, and actually speak to them and tell them, this is what you need to do when this is done. I think it's just being honest, because a lot of people they don't want to talk to their kids about sex and just sexual things, but I feel like you should talk to your kids about stuff like that, because it's going to come, and it's rather best come from family than a stranger.
I think the way adults can protect their children, it can be linked, when speaking about rape, it can be linked with child abduction, so kidnapping, and that's no means no, and also to tell a parent when something is happening. So whenever they feel vulnerable, they should be allowed to say, I want to find my mum, or, I don't want to speak to you right now, I feel uncomfortable. I think when they're more comfortable and confident saying those things, it will probably help them with cases like rape. So yeah, to give them more confidence and let them know if anything does happen, they can always come to the parent to help them.
I think as a parent, it must be so hard, because there is so many things that parents need to protect their children from. And I'm not a parent, so I wouldn't know, but I can only try and understand from a perspective of someone who's an auntie. And it's difficult. You don't just have to worry about rapists and sexual abusers. You have to worry about, child abduction. You have to worry about, peer pressure, bullying, whether your child is happy, whether they're sad. You have to worry about whether your child is going to make friends when they go to school, whether they'll fit in. You have to worry about, your child getting ill or sick. You have to worry about so many things. So a parent's job is not easy, and there's no manual on how to do things the correct way. But, there's maybe a few things that parents could possibly do. Personally, I don't have children yet, but if I did have children, I know that I wouldn't leave my child with just anyone. We'd have to be really close. There's a lot of people that take advantage of childcare, because obviously childcare costs are really high, and they're comfortable enough to leave their child with anyone just for the sake of it. But personally, I wouldn't expose my children to people that I don't know on a personal level, and I just feel like that's asking for trouble, because it might not even be rape, it could be anything else.
I feel parents' responsibility when it comes to kids is to always know who their children are with, and to also have a really great relationship where they can communicate openly with their children about anything to do with sexual health. It's never too young, it's never too early to start talking to your children about it. That's my firm belief, because that's the only way you're going to have trust between a parent and a child, where the child can feel safe to come and talk to a parent about anything that's going on with them. But as an African, we have this tradition, this culture of brushing things under the carpet, of not talking openly to our children about sex, because it's supposed to be a taboo subject, because it's only meant to be something that adults do. But what that does is, it makes a child feel as though they can't go to their parent and talk about things that's happening to them. And you can't have that barrier. It should be an open type relationship when it comes to that subject, where the child feels safe enough, comfortable, trusting to come and tell their parent anything that's going on with them.
When you allow your child to sleep at someone else's home, you are now taking the responsibility of your child out of your hands into someone else. And although you may trust that person, you don't know who that person will bring around your child. So that's where, parents could maybe be a bit more cautious. So when you are making those kind of arrangements to let your child stay in the care of someone else, maybe have that understanding of respect with that person, that, hey, if my child's going to be around you, can you make sure that you don't bring other people around my child that I don't know very well?
I would say be more open and friendly towards your kids. I'm not saying be their friends, but you have to lay a foundation where they can feel like they can talk to you about stuff like that. Because a lot of people, I have friends that have been through it when they were younger and all that stuff, and they still have not summoned the courage to tell their parents, for example, what happened, who it is, and things like that really. So I feel like if there's, an open relationship with your parents, for example, you would maybe feel more comfortable actually telling your parents, dealing with the situation a lot earlier than just leaving it and just letting it, just roll, I guess.
This is more something that's more in African culture, that, everyone is your uncle, everyone is your auntie, and it's quite dangerous. Because for me growing up, everyone was my auntie, everyone was my uncle, even my neighbors. It's a sign of respect, of course. You wouldn't just call an adult, by their name and whatnot. You would say auntie or uncle as a sign of respect. But at the same time, I feel like parents need to also, distinguish who is really your uncle, who is really your auntie, so that you don't just allow your child to, think that people who are not as important have such a big importance in their life. So maybe saying, this is a family friend, but you should call them uncle anyway. Not this is your uncle and that's it, because then you're giving them a high title that they don't deserve. So I think that's something that parents could possibly do, is be very clear on the adults that child should, use as a safety net, because it's too risky to let your child think that all these adults around them are someone that they should trust. When you feel...
It's just, I have an auntie, for example, who's very religious. That's not surprising for an African family. And she's religious as a Christian. But one of the things that they do at church, at their children's, what's it called when children go to church, and Sunday school, they teach your kids about things that they shouldn't let adults do to them. They shouldn't touch them in certain private areas. If they do, they should go and talk to an adult and let another adult know that an adult touched them in a private area. If you inform kids of certain things from a very young age, they know that it's wrong, and they know that they can approach the parent and tell their parent that this thing has happened to them. Mm-hmm. So it's about educating them from a very young age.
Parents could maybe teach their children boundaries. I think it's important to give your child boundaries from an early age, to teach your child how to say no in moderation, obviously not in a disrespectful way, but know when they don't feel comfortable. Teach your children that, when you don't feel comfortable, say no. If you don't feel comfortable, tell an adult, tell me, tell a friend, tell a teacher. Whenever you feel like something is wrong, speak up about it. You need to also teach your children their body parts, which I think is such an important thing that should be taught from early on. And there's ways of talking about sex without sexualizing it. So in reference to the body parts, maybe pointing out the body parts that are off limits to people. So, no one should touch your vagina, no one should touch your breasts, and maybe actually saying the names as they are biologically, instead of, giving them nicknames, so that the child isn't confused. But yeah, I think that maybe pointing out the areas that are off limits, so that child knows if someone does touch them or try to touch them in those areas, they know, oh no, my mum and my dad told me that no one should touch me here. This is not okay. I need to say something.